I'd like to take it to Eastern Europe now. My question refers to the revolutions in the last 3 years with the strong involvement, obvious involvement of the US. And in the name of democracy, I mean countries like Georgia and Ukraine. I'm not sure if I could put the question the right way, but I was wondering whether these countries had other choice, because they had to make choice between Russia, US, whether there was any third choice, and how do you foresee the future of these countries from this perspective after this revolution? Thank you.
Yeah, they certainly have other choices. I mean, for example, they have the same choices as Latin Americans. It's very striking to look at for example, they have the same choices as Latin Americans. It's very striking to look at the difference between the former Russian satellites and the US satellites. Very striking differences between them. Actually, the Russian satellites were much better off than the US satellites in the post-Stalin period, at least. I mean, life in, say, Bulgaria was a lot better than life in Guatemala. And in fact, that sort of runs pretty much across the board. On the other hand, the dissidents in Eastern Europe had the unique advantage that the most powerful propaganda system in the world and the most powerful states in the world were supporting them. So therefore, they got a funny view of the world. Their view of the world typically is that they're the ones who are suffering more than anyone else. It's very different in Latin America. And you sometimes see it very strikingly. So take the 1989, you recall the 6 leading Latin American intellectuals, Jesuit priests, were assassinated in El Salvador by a U.S.-run terrorist force, the Atacadal Battalion, which had already killed thousands of the usual victims. So they blew out the brains of 6 leading Latin American intellectuals. Well, shortly after that, Václav Havel, the symbol of East European dissidents, came to the United States, gave a talk in Congress. Both houses were together, got a rousing ovation when he described the United States as the defender of freedom. And the press was just overwhelmed with joy, including the left liberal commentators. We're entering a romantic age, and so on and so forth. It was unbelievable. Just imagine that the opposite had happened. Imagine that Václav Havel and 6 of his associates had their brains blown out by an elite battalion run by the Russians, who had already killed tens of thousands of people in Czechoslovakia. And suppose that Father Echeverria, say, one of the Latin American Jesuits, had gone to Moscow a couple of days later, given a speech in the Duma praising the Russians as the defenders of freedom. The world would have, first of all, it's inconceivable, but if anything like that had happened, the place would blow up. But in the West, you can't understand that. You're not allowed to understand that. Well, that relates to your question. The Eastern Europeans certainly have options, but not if they're totally brainwashed into thinking that they were the only people in the world who were oppressed. The United States is the defender of freedom. I mean, Latin American intellectuals suffered terribly, and Latin Americans all did. But they didn't praise Russia as the defender of freedom. In fact, most of them had very few illusions about Russia. Okay? Not the converse. So you just aren't getting, for all kinds of reasons, you're not getting the kinds of choices in Eastern Europe that you do find in places like Latin America. And it shows. As far as the U.S. support for the color revolutions, that follows a principle. And it's a well-established principle. It's recognized even in kind of conservative scholarship. The principle, and it just fits almost perfectly. It's what I said before. Democracy is good if and only if it correlates with economic strategic interests. You can't read an article, try it in the press or journals, scholarly journals about, say, the Bush administration. You can't read an article about it that doesn't say Bush is pursuing his mission of bringing democracy to Iraq and the Middle East and the world and so on. It doesn't make any difference what the facts are. That's his mission. It's the party line, and in a society which is deeply indoctrinated, you can't see that the facts are entirely inconsistent with it. And they are radically inconsistent. I mean, the same people who are saying that, for example, know that the last military coup tried to overthrow a democratic government. We supported it. They don't know, they know, but can't register the fact that there was a free election in Palestine last January. Monitored, free election, came out the wrong way. The U.S. and Israel, with Europe's support, immediately moved to punish the population, punish them severely. I mean, economic strangulation, extending military attacks, even shutting off the water to the Gaza Strip, which is water arid area, not water to drink. All of that to punish the population from voting the wrong way in a free election. But that, and a million other things like it, don't influence the principle that the United States, and particularly Bush, are dedicated to the mission, what the Boston Globe calls the messianic mission of bringing democracy to the world. I don't think you had anything like that level of conformity in Soviet Russia. I'm sure you didn't, in fact. But it's standard in the West. Standard. And nobody can understand it. Well, it goes back to the Orange Revolutions. Yeah, they're fine as long as they come out the right way.